Alex Cora adds another milestone to his manager history as he continues to show the Boston Red Sox why they're lucky to have him.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part is it is free, so you might as well check it out because Locked On is here for you with your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code LockedOnMLB, all lowercase, for a first deposit match up to $100. Welcome to another episode of the show. You are halfway through the week. Congratulations. And summer is halfway over. Isn't that crazy? I have no idea where the time is going, but we don't have that much more time until the fall, which means we are closer and closer to the MLB playoffs, which is super exciting. I just love the intensity of the postseason. The games are just so much more intense. Every at bat is much more intense than the regular season, and it's just a lot of fun. Regardless of whether the Red Sox are in it or not, I still enjoy watching postseason games. Obviously, with the Red Sox being in it, it is a lot better, and this team is really grinding to win games and trying to get themselves into playoff contention again. And they certainly have the attitudes to be able to do it and the mindset. And a lot of that has to do with their manager and Alex Cora. He is somebody that has a lot of credit that's due for what the Red Sox have been doing this season. And the fact that early on, people had low expectations for them. They were expecting a season similar to last year, maybe finishing under 500 and a possible last place finish in the division. But Alex Cora has been a fantastic manager this year in terms of working with what he has, trying to get these guys to stay on track and really relating to and connecting with each of them, because he truly is a player's coach and he's somebody who these Red Sox players really respect and enjoy playing for. And I believe that is what has helped the Red Sox to be so successful as a team this year and surprise a lot of people in a good way, is the attitude that goes around that clubhouse and the faith that he has in his players and allowing it to get these guys to play better, because they truly come together as one. And Reese McGuire, who was recently DFA'd by the Red Sox and is now back in Worcester, was on my podcast earlier this season, and he just talked about how great of a player's coach Alex Cora really is. And he mentioned when he got DFA'd, just the clubhouse vibe at the major league level and how he was going to miss that because it was just something really special. And I feel like Cora creates that. He creates that environment that develops a winning culture. And a lot of times it's not the best team on paper that succeeds in the postseason. It's a team that gets hot at the right time and has the right overall mentality as a club to feel like they can do anything and they can accomplish anything. And the Red Sox definitely have that never give up, grind through every at-bat attitude. And Alex Cora is a lot to thank for that. And he reached a big milestone in his Red Sox managing career of earning his 500th win as a Red Sox manager in the team's 9-5 win over the Kansas City Royals on Monday night. He's only the fourth manager to win 500 games with the Red Sox. In terms of fewest decisions to reach 500 wins with the Boston Red Sox as the manager, he's number 2 behind Terry Francona with 862 decisions until he got to his 500th win with a record of 500 and 362. Alex Cora then at number 2, it took him 921 decisions to get to 500 wins, 500 and 421 of a record at that point. And then Joe Cronin and Mike Higgins are below him, the other 2 managers to win 500 games with the Red Sox. He has accomplished so much with this team, and he just believes in the guys in the clubhouse. And it was really cute. It was actually making me cry yesterday when I saw this video on Twitter of the team doing a clubhouse toast to Alex Cora to celebrate him reaching that milestone. And he talked about with the team how he knew it was coming. It's been fun the whole year. And he talked about how he and his family made a big commitment a few weeks ago when the Red Sox extended him for a few more years. And the reason that he's still there is primarily them. But he also said what the team brings on a daily basis to his life is amazing. And he loves it. And he just loves the group of guys they had. He made a special mention to Rafael Devers, who is the longest tenured member of this Boston Red Sox team and the only one to play under Alex Cora for his entire tenure so far, which is crazy and kind of sad to think about because that 2018 World Series team is just non-existent now. The only player still from that team that exists on this Red Sox team is Devers. It's so sad. Other players have joined other organizations and are making an impact there. But Devers holds a special place in Cora's heart because he's been there since the beginning of his tenure with the Red Sox as their manager. And that's the special thing about Alex Cora is he recognizes things like that. He knows these guys on a more individual and personal level, and they aren't just numbers to him. And at a job, have you ever felt like you're just a number? Because I know I have. I mean, I used to work at ESPN, and there were so many people that worked there, and I really enjoyed working there. Great company. I learned a lot. I had some great coworkers, but there were a lot of people who worked there, and sometimes it was hard to get noticed at that big of a company. And I feel like when you're in Major League Baseball, sometimes it's hard as a player to feel like your personal work and the grind you put in on a daily basis are being noticed. And I feel like Alex Cora takes the time to notice and acknowledge every single player's accomplishments on that team. And that's truly something special, just from the locker room talks that I've heard him have with his players and just the way he addresses these guys, taking the time to personally recognize the achievements of each player. Like when it was announced that Devers and Jarren Duran and Tanner Houck were all going to the All-Star game, Cora made sure to specifically mention a few of each of their accomplishments during the season and what they did to earn those spots in the All-Star game. And so I think that's really special. And if a team has a manager who goes above and beyond to take care of his players, make it a homey-like atmosphere to where they can feel like they have a good friendship with him, but also a good mentor to player relationship with him, that's a great balance. And the coaching staff around him definitely helps with that environment too. But Cora's best asset to me is the culture he creates. And yes, you can nitpick some of his managerial decisions in terms of maybe his bullpen management and not always making the best decisions about what pitcher to put out there when. And you could go into some of those little things. But at the end of the day, we are lucky to have Alex Cora here. And Red Sox fans should feel grateful that we have him, because we would be in a rude awakening if he wasn't our manager and the Red Sox were to get rid of him and bring in somebody else. I think people would be missing Alex Cora and what he brings to the table, because it's very underrated to be a manager that creates a winning culture. If you have a winning culture, you can win games, and it shows in these contests when the Red Sox are never backing down, putting pressure on opposing pitchers, and always giving 100% effort, no matter what the score is, no matter where they're at in the game, if they're winning, if they're losing. They are always going to give 100%. And I credit a lot of that to Cora. So huge congratulations to him on earning his 500th win as the Red Sox manager. I think it's really cool that the team stopped and did a little toast for him to celebrate that. But I'm really hopeful for the future with Cora at the helm in terms of what this Red Sox team can do. And maybe they'll surprise some people. Wait until a couple years from now when their young core is all up in the majors. They might be able to replicate that 2018 team or come close to it in a few seasons. Just wait for it. I'm really excited. But Alex Cora is a great manager for this Red Sox team to have. They are very lucky to have him, and I can't wait for his future endeavors with this club. Coming up, I'm going to be talking about a pitcher who is very important to this Red Sox team and showed why he came here in his start the other night. If you're looking for a fun way to play daily fantasy sports, Prize Picks is 100% the place for you. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. If you're looking for promotions, Prize Picks has got you covered every week. From lowering select player stats projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hit or getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. All you have to do is just download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. It's Prize Picks. Prize Picks really makes it so simple to make money, and you can make lots of different selections regarding different sports. So I highly recommend that you check that out today. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen today. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast. Host Paul Sullivan, aka Sully, is here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs here in the dog days of summer. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Highly recommend you checking out Locked On MLB or even any of our other Locked On shows, as we have some very talented hosts here at the network. Speaking of talented, the Boston Red Sox are a talented baseball team, especially their offense that just continues to crush baseballs. And I was having a long conversation with my fiance the other night after the opening game of the series against the Royals. And I said, this team with the offense they have can compete. If their pitching staff as a whole can get themselves back on track and can be more what they were in the first half of the season, this is going to be a tough team to beat, and they can really compete with anyone if that's the case. Their offense will score runs and be able to put up a lot of runs on a regular basis, and they can put pressure on opposing pitchers, especially with the speed they have on the base paths between David Hamilton, Jarren Duran, and Cedar Rafaela. And they have guys who can hit singles, doubles, crush home runs. They can string together offense, and that is key when they progress throughout the rest of the season, and something that will make them stand out and help them to win games. On the flip side, though, the starting pitching has to be back on track, especially guys like Tanner Houck and Cutter Crawford, who have struggled a bit since coming back from the All-Star break. So overall, if the pitching staff can be better, we as a team can feel more confident in the abilities of these guys to make a run in the postseason. And one player who's going to be important to that postseason run is James Paxton. Now, there were some Red Sox fans who were disappointed in the trade deadline that the Red Sox had because they felt like this team needed to acquire a front-end starter, and they didn't really do that because James Paxton is by no means a front-end starter, but he is a starter who can eat innings and be able to hopefully pitch deep into games to allow the bullpen to get some rest. And he did start the opening game in the series against the Royals when the Red Sox won 9-5, and he pitched 6 innings. He gave up 5 hits and 2 earned runs and recorded 4 strikeouts and 1 walk. He earned the win to improve his record on the season to 9-3. He does have a 4.42 ERA, so nothing that stands out as having dominant numbers this year, but he is recording wins on the mound, and he did look good in his outing against the Royals. And that is the biggest reason why Paxton is here, because he's not going to have that type of start every time. 6 innings, 2 earned runs is solid. That is the type of start you expect to see more from somebody like Tanner Houck. So James Paxton likely isn't somebody who's going to have the ability to give you that type of start every time. But what he can give you is deep into games and being able to throw in the later innings so that the bullpen maybe doesn't have to pitch more than 2 or 3 innings in a game. And the thing about Paxton being here and being in the mix of the rotation is it allows the Red Sox to keep Cooper Criswell in the bullpen. Now, he did pitch on Monday night when the Red Sox beat the Royals and did not have it, only went 2/3 of an inning, giving up 3 hits and 2 earned runs. So it just was not his night. Alex Cora knew it wasn't, pulled him, brought in Lucas Sims, who was able to get out of the inning. Another great trade deadline addition for Boston. So Criswell did not have it in that game. But overall, because Criswell has had experience starting for this Red Sox team this year, he has the durability with his arm to be able to pitch 5, maybe 6 innings if you're pushing it a little bit, because of the fact that he had to do that when he was starting. So because he has the arm capacity to be able to pitch for a longer amount of time, he now has become somebody who can pitch out of the bullpen and ideally pitch 2 or 3 innings. I mean, for example, on Monday night, he didn't have it, so he didn't last that long. But the idea, likely after James Paxton pitching 6 innings, was for Criswell to probably come in and pitch the 7th and 8th innings before they would have somebody in and close out the game in the 9th. Now, Lucas Sims, Luis Garcia, and Cam Boozer all pitched in the game after Criswell, so Cora did end up using 3 more pitchers because Criswell didn't have it. But if he had gone in there and pitched 2 innings, then they could have brought in Kenley if it was a 3-run game at that point, or if it was a 4-run game at that point, maybe bring in Cam Boozer to close it out in the 9th. But the point is that Cooper Criswell having the durability to pitch more innings gives the Red Sox an option in the pen who ideally, as long as he is on it, can pitch 2 or 3 innings and give the rest of the bullpen much needed rest. So having James Paxton here, for one, he had a very good start in a game the Red Sox really needed to win. That is a plus, and him being able to buckle down, and we know he still has it, and we know he can still provide some solid starts when needed. But even so, if he's not providing a solid start, he could at least be somebody who can eat some innings out of the rotation. And that's the whole thing. And somebody said, well, if Criswell's a better pitcher, then why can't he just be in the rotation and the Red Sox should have acquired somebody else? Then who do you move to the pen to be able to provide length and pitch more innings? Because you have to keep Houck in the rotation. Garrett Whitlock's out for the year, so you didn't really give yourself another option at that point for somebody to move into the pen and pitch 2 or 3 innings. So this allows him to shift into the bullpen, and it still gives the Red Sox the allowance to have guys like Tanner Houck and Cutter Crawford continue their development at the front end of the rotation, guys who they see as being part of the equation in the future in that rotation, allowing them to continue to develop and get the confidence to be the 1-2 punch down the road. And it allows Brian Bayo to continue with his development every 5th day and not feel as much pressure to have to come through every single time, because they now have a consistent every 5th day starter in James Paxton. So it kind of takes a little bit more of that pressure off of their other starters to continue to develop. And if they have a bad outing one day, then they just continue their development. But at least there's somebody who now is pitching every 5th day to make them feel better about them having a bad start, and then if it was going to be a bullpen day the next day, then that's tough, because then they're saying, well, I just lost us this game because I just did not have it at all today. And if we have a bullpen game tomorrow, things might not go our way either. So therefore, because they have another starter in there who can actually pitch every fifth day consistently, and it's not like they're just kind of making ends meet there with throwing people in to that fifth start every day, that is a difference maker for this Red Sox team. That is something that makes the Red Sox rotation look more complete, and not evaluating every fifth day and saying, who does it make sense to throw here? So James Paxton makes more of a difference than you think. Is he going to be the best starting pitcher on this team? By no means, no. He's not going to be that guy who's going to give you regularly the best starts in the world. He looked very good against Kansas City, but I don't expect every start for him moving forward to be like that. But that's okay. As long as he's a middle of the road guy who can get you 5 or 6 innings to start consistently, that's what the Red Sox needed. And that's why he's here. And hopefully Cooper Criswell can get himself back on track to the point where he's able to give you more innings out of the pen moving forward. But you'll start to see the impact of this as the Red Sox bullpen continues to have to be used. And if they were to get more fatigued, you'll start to notice having this situation with Paxton in the rotation and Criswell in the bullpen, that it will help ease some of that stress and tiredness from the rest of the pen. So I actually really like that James Paxton is here. Again, not expecting him to be a front of the rotation guy, but he makes more of a difference than some people realize. And we definitely should make sure that when it comes to thinking about this Red Sox team in the postseason, it looks a lot better to have a completed rotation of 5 definite starters than to just have every fifth day a question mark there. So definitely a good move by the Red Sox. And coming up, I'm going to be talking about an interesting and unique scenario for a player who could make history for Boston here in a few weeks. So you definitely will not want to miss that. In the summer, it gets crazy hot, especially this year. I know here in the Northeast, they were talking about how this is like the hottest summer we've had in a long time. So it's always important to stay hydrated. I love sitting outside for baseball games. My fiance coaches baseball, so I'm in the heat a lot, and I constantly need to load up on water. But this is where something like Liquid IV could benefit me. When you're taking in America's pastime, don't forget to hydrate with Liquid IV's Popsicle Firecracker flavor, a surefire summer hit. Get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydrated brand in America. Because baseball and summer go together like Liquid IV and indulgent hydration. It's important to make sure that you're staying hydrated, and you can now have this on top of water. And there's so many good flavors that you could try, like lemon lime, tart cherry, raspberry, you name it. Even pina colada has a flavor. It's more than just a drink. It's a science-backed way to hydrate better. Tear, pour, live more. 1 stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. This will absolutely change your life. It's great for after a night out or a lot of different scenarios if you're feeling a little bit sick because you haven't been drinking a lot of water. It's a great resource to have. So I highly, highly recommend purchasing some because your life will be so much better with it. The Red Sox are entering the point of the season where every game, every at-bat is so much more important if they want to secure a spot in the postseason. They definitely have a group of guys that are special and have a chance to do it. And they have a lot of players here who are eager to win and want to surprise people in the best way possible. And I absolutely love that about them. And I love that Alex Cora brings out the best in his players and when it came to the trade deadline, the fact that Craig Breslow added, and I talked about how James Paxton makes a difference because of his ability to pitch every fifth day consistently and hopefully pitch 5 to 6 innings to really allow a more extended arm who has starting experience in Criswell to be in the bullpen. So that is all good news for the Red Sox as they look to make a playoff push. But another player that they acquired at the trade deadline is catcher Danny Jansen. And it was definitely a little bit heartbreaking for Reese McGuire because he was DFA'd as a result. The Red Sox obviously were on a mission to upgrade in the backup catcher position. And Reese had a very hot start to the season. Came out of the gates looking very strong on offense, and then he kind of slipped back down into reality, while meanwhile Connor Wong is just having a massive breakthrough season. So it was hard for him knowing by far he was the backup catcher. So then the fact that he wasn't really doing a whole lot to contribute made the Red Sox say, okay, look, let's upgrade our backup catcher. And while simultaneously doing that, we can also get a right-handed bat. And that's what they got in Danny Jansen, who enjoys hitting at Fenway and has just always hit well there during his career. And he's already acclimated himself quite well to being at Fenway Park and being in his Red Sox clubhouse. But what's interesting in this scenario is that he was just traded from the Blue Jays to the Red Sox at the trade deadline. And the Red Sox had to suspend a game against the Blue Jays earlier on in this season on June 26th due to rain. They had started it, which, by the way, didn't make sense to me because the game literally got suspended in the second inning. So they should have just never started the game to begin with. But they must have just thought the rain wasn't going to be as bad as it was. So it didn't make sense to me. But anyway, game got suspended in the second inning due to weather. But the trick to this is that at that point, Jansen was a member of the Blue Jays, and he actually, ironically, was at the plate for Toronto at the time of the game being suspended, which is so interesting because about a month later was when the trade happened, when he came to Boston. If he were to enter the suspended game for the Red Sox, it would make him the first player in known MLB history to play for both teams in the same game. The best part is that there's a plausible pathway to this actually happening because Reese McGuire was catching for the Red Sox in that game. And because he was DFA'd after the Red Sox acquired Danny Jansen, there is a likelihood that the Red Sox might have no choice but to insert Jansen as their catcher to finish off the game. The Blue Jays will obviously have to pinch hit for Jansen since he is no longer part of their team. But because Reese McGuire was catching, instead of putting Connor Wong into the game, they likely would just insert Jansen into the catcher spot. He doesn't even know the specifics and how it would work. He literally said, I don't even know how this works. I've heard about it a couple times. That'll be funky, right? Which is certainly a good word for it. It could be very funky. And because there appears to be a real chance of it happening, anyone who appreciates a good statistical oddity like that might want to view this game because it's definitely one of the more obscure and exciting things that could happen during the remainder of this regular season. And I honestly wondered that too, because I remembered about the suspended game when the Red Sox acquired Danny Jansen. And I said, wow, he wasn't a member of this Red Sox team yet when that game got suspended against the Blue Jays. So how does that work? Does he play the rest of the game in a Blue Jays uniform? Because that's only fair since the game got suspended when he was still a member of their team, or because he was traded to the Red Sox and they're making it up well past the trade deadline. Is the rule that he plays in a Red Sox uniform for the rest of the game. And I think there's still a little bit of a gray area there. And he doesn't even really know what it could look like. But it seems like he would just play in a Red Sox uniform since he is now a member of their roster. But it's weird to think about it because since the game got suspended, that literally means the game just got frozen. And because it got frozen, if you freeze the rosters, technically that says he should be a Blue Jay in that game. So it's definitely interesting, and leave it to the Red Sox to have something obscure like that happening this year. So I'm interested in seeing how that goes down. But Danny Jansen's been interesting for this team to have around for sure. He's certainly an upgrade from Reese McGuire from a defensive standpoint, and also his offense provides more than what Reese was able to provide, especially with his ability to have always been able to find success at Fenway with his bat. And he seems to have acclimated himself well to the clubhouse already. And one thing to note is, what are the pitchers' ERAs going to look like when he is catching for them? Because there was a noticeable difference between a pitcher's ERA when Reese McGuire was catching for them versus Connor Wong. And actually, these pitchers' ERAs were lower when Reese was catching than they were with Wong. So that's definitely an interesting thing to note. So I'm curious to see how that's going to stack up with Jansen doing the catching moving forward for this season, what it's going to look like for the Red Sox pitchers. But he is a guy who hopefully can help provide a spark the Red Sox need to just continue with their winning ways and get themselves into the postseason. Because at this point, it's about winning series. They're not just going to sweep everybody and win out, although that would be absolutely insane and would be a dream come true. It's not going to happen. But if they can take 2 of 3 in every 3-game series that they have, then they easily will find themselves in the postseason. And it's just about taking it game by game. And that's always something that Alex Cora preaches, is we're taking it game by game. It's about making sure that everybody's doing their job and everybody's staying focused on our goals. And that certainly seems to be the case with this team, and bringing another good clubhouse leader in there, and Danny Jansen, who has experience playing in the division and knows what it's like already to play at Fenway, is going to serve dividends for a Red Sox team that's on the cusp right now. But it'll certainly be interesting to see him show up for that suspended game, because he's probably going to be very confused. His Toronto teammates are going to be like, so are you playing with us, or how is this working? And his Red Sox teammates, same thing, are going to be like, are you the enemy today, or are you with us today? So I thought it was just an interesting thing to point out, because of the fact that baseball is just such a crazy sport, and weird coincidences like that happen. But looking ahead, Danny Jansen and the Red Sox are going to have to stay very focused with tough competition coming up here over this next couple months. The Orioles are right around the corner for this Red Sox team, and I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping that they can steal some games against Baltimore to increase their chances in the division, because at this point, I'm kind of focused on just that last wild card spot, but obviously bonus points if they inch their way closer in the division. And it's not out of the realm of possibility, the Red Sox winning the division right now. So one can only hope and have those feelings and thoughts of this team having a chance to win the division still. And the offense will give them that chance. And having another right-handed bat in the offense and Danny Jansen to help balance it out a little bit more will for sure help with that cause of making the offense even more competitive. But the question, again, just becomes, can the pitching stack up? Because we are absolutely going to need them to if this team wants a real shot. But, I mean, Rafael Devers just having an unbelievable season, still batting over 300, inching his way up the all-time list in RBIs and home runs before the age of 27 within the Red Sox organization. And Jarren Duran just being Jarren Duran-like and just going off in all assets of his game to key players to this Red Sox team's success this year. So hopefully they can continue with the success and just take it one game at a time, like I mentioned, and stay focused on the prize and win one series at a time. If they keep winning series, they'll certainly be in a playoff spot. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen today. Now go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day. You can find the link to Locked On MLB in the description, so you don't need to search. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This is a great time to check out another Locked On show, especially Locked On MLB, because of where the standings are at and the Red Sox making a run potentially. So if you want to hear more about the other teams across the league, check out Sully and Locked On MLB. As always, though, as we think about the Red Sox trying to make this postseason run, Just keep the faith. Go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.